After the death of Commodus in 192 CE, Rome once again descended into chaos. The golden age of peace was over. Civil war tore through the empire as generals, senators, and ambitious governors fought for the throne. Within just 1 year, 5 men would claim to be emperor. The same story that had ended the Republic was beginning to repeat itself. The chaos ended, for a time, with Septimius Severus, a hard, disciplined general from North Africa. He built a new dynasty, the Severan dynasty, and tried to restore order through military strength. He increased soldiers' pay, secured the frontiers, and made the army the heart of imperial power. But in doing so, he also planted the seed of the empire's undoing. The loyalty of the legions was no longer to Rome, it was to whoever paid them. After his death, his sons Caracalla and Geta inherited the throne. It didn't last. Caracalla murdered his brother, ruled as a tyrant, and extended Roman citizenship to every free man in the empire, not out of generosity, but to increase taxes. His reign ended with assassination, and the empire slipped deeper into instability. By the mid-3rd century, Rome faced a nightmare. Historians call it the crisis of the 3rd century, 50 years of chaos, invasion, and collapse. Emperors came and went at lightning speed, more than 20 were killed or overthrown in just 50 years. Barbarian tribes crossed the Rhine and the Danube, the Persians struck from the east, and provinces broke away to form their own short-lived empires. The economy crumbled. Trade routes collapsed. The silver coins that once symbolized Roman wealth were now worthless. Plagues and famines swept through the cities. For the first time in centuries, people began to wonder if Rome, the eternal city, could actually fall. But even in darkness, strong leaders emerged. Aurelian, one of the empire's great forgotten heroes, reunited the broken provinces and drove out the invaders. He built massive walls around Rome itself, a symbol that even the capital now needed protection. For a brief moment, stability returned, but the old Rome was gone. The emperors were no longer aristocrats or philosophers. They were soldiers, hardened men forged on the frontier, ruling by the sword. Then came Diocletian, a man who reshaped the empire itself. Realizing that one man could no longer rule such vast lands, he divided Rome into 2 halves, the Eastern and Western empires, each with its own emperor and co-emperor. This system, called the Tetrarchy, was meant to bring order. And for a while, it worked. Diocletian reformed the economy, strengthened the army, and restored a sense of discipline. But he also ruled with iron control, demanding loyalty to the state above all. Persecutions against Christians reached their height under his reign, as he saw the growing faith as a threat to imperial unity. When Diocletian retired, the system quickly unraveled. The co-emperors turned on each other, and another civil war erupted. Out of that chaos rose one of the most famous names in history, Constantine the Great. Constantine reunited the empire under his rule, ending the civil wars and bringing a new vision for Rome. But his legacy would change the world forever. In 313 CE, he issued the Edict of Milan, granting freedom of religion across the empire and ending centuries of persecution against Christians. By the end of his life, Constantine himself had converted to Christianity. He built a new capital, Constantinople, the city of Constantine, on the site of ancient Byzantium. Strategically placed between Europe and Asia, it became the new center of power, wealth, and faith. Rome, once the heart of the world, was no longer the center of the empire. After Constantine's death, the empire split again, permanently this time. The Eastern Roman Empire, ruled from Constantinople, remained strong, rich, and organized. The Western Roman Empire, centered in Italy, was weaker, poorer, and constantly under attack. By the 4th and 5th centuries, waves of barbarian migrations shook the empire's borders. The Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns pushed into Roman lands, fleeing from one another as they sought refuge and opportunity. In 410 CE, under the leadership of Alaric, the Visigoths sacked Rome itself, the first time in 800 years that the city had fallen to an enemy. The shock was enormous. To the Romans, it felt as if the world had ended. Yet the empire struggled on. the East continued to thrive under strong rulers, while the West decayed. Provinces like Gaul, Spain, and Britain were abandoned as local warlords took power. The once mighty Roman legions were now filled with foreign mercenaries, more loyal to gold than to Rome. In 476 CE, the inevitable finally came. The last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, a boy barely in his teens, was deposed by the Germanic general Odoacer. There was no grand battle, no final stand, just a quiet transfer of power. The Western Roman Empire was gone. But Rome did not truly die. In the East, the Byzantine Empire would continue for another 1,000 years, carrying on Roman law, culture, and faith. Even as cities fell and kingdoms rose, the idea of Rome, its roads, its language, its governance, lived on. Every empire that came after would measure itself against it. The fall of Rome wasn't just the end of an empire. It was the beginning of a new world. From its ruins emerged the nations of medieval Europe, the rise of Christianity, and the dream of empire that would echo through every age. For over a millennium, Rome ruled with power, with pride, with vision, and in its fall, it left behind something far greater than marble or conquest. It left a legacy that still shapes the world today.